Very good afternoon to everybody here. Thank you so much for attending our webinar, Budget Ki Baat, which is going to be discussing the impact of Budget 2023 on MSMEs, making them credit ready and financially inclusive. So, MSMEs are the growth engine of India. They are often impacted with regulatory reforms year after year, budget announcements being one of them. With the one man show nature of MSMEs, it is difficult for business owners to adapt to the changing norms. And this is where experts step in to help them manage their daily business requirements. With this as the backdrop, we aim to bring CAs who have a critical role in helping MSMEs manage their cash, commerce, compliance, and credit, making MSMEs digitally equipped and financially inclusive within the ecosystem. So our speakers for today are, we have Mr. Abhishek Rajaram, who is a fellow member of the ICAI, qualified in 2006 and holds a master's degree in commerce. He is currently co-opted member of Indirect Tax Committee NRIC and was a special invitee to the GST Committee ACAI for 21-22. He has more than 15 years of experience in litigations in indirect tax, which is VAT, service tax, and GST laws at various appellate forums. He's also a speaker on VAT, service tax, and GST, and deliberated many seminars and webinars on various CA/CPE study circles, taxation bars, and web portals. He has authored more than a dozen books on GST and other topics. His articles have been published in various magazines, websites, and newspapers like The Statesman, Economic Times, The Pioneer, The Hindu, The Business Line, etc. He's also a radio and a TV debate panelist. Second panelist for today is Mr. Saurav Ghosh, who is the co-founder of Giraffe. Saurav has over a decade of experience in corporate finance and has led the corporate finance and strategy vertical for a leading real estate developer in Bangalore and Chennai. Saurav has managed transactions of more than $1 billion, including structured debt, equity, SPV purchases, asset monetization, land purchases. He is an alumni of IIM Ahmedabad and BITS Pilani, Goa. The third panelist for today is Mr. Manish Balani. Manish Balani is a chartered accountant by qualification and has around 12 years of experience. He is working as a business head at Vayana and is working in the technology space for helping small and medium businesses in their cash management, compliance, and credit requirements. He was featured by LinkedIn in their In It Together campaign through TV commercials, video ads on various digital platforms like YouTube and Facebook, as well as billboards and hoardings in major cities of India during the IPL season, which has over 5 million views across platforms. He also gave a Josh talk recently on the topic how networking and sales can help you grow your career. He's one of the Mentor of Change for Startups by Niti Aayog, as well as a member of Startup Committee of the ACAI. Thank you so much, sirs, for agreeing to be a part of our discussion. I'd now like to hand it over to Manish to take this forward.
Thank you, Akshay. Thank you for this kind introduction. So, folks, today we are here to discuss about Budget 2023. The FM of the country, Nirmala Sitharaman, actually spoke about the vision of this budget, which she called it as the Amrit Kal budget. So I think there are three things that she discussed about while talking about the vision of this budget. The first thing that she discussed was about the opportunities for citizens, and the focus was majorly on the youth of the country. The second thing was regarding growth and job creation. And the third thing was kind of a strong and stable macroeconomic environment creation by this budget. So these are three focal events that she spoke about on the while talking about the vision of this Amrit Kal budget, right? And there were some 7 priorities that she spoke about, which she called it as, I think, Saptarishi, right? The first Saptarishi, or the first priority that she spoke about, was inclusive development. Then she talked about reaching the last mile. Third was powering the youth. Fourth was specifically on the financial sector. Fifth was green and sustainable growth and development. Sixth was unleashing the potential of the country. And the final one was the infrastructure and investment. So I think we'll then start about the most awaited topic, I would say. Whenever budget comes, everybody wants to know about the personal taxation. So Abhishek, if you want to throw some light on personal taxation, कुछ tax बचेगा या नहीं बचेगा?
Thank you, Manish bhai and Saurabh ji and Team Vayana for inviting me for discussion on this important topic impacting MSMEs and the one who are running the show of MSMEs. So yes, there is a benefit those who are into new regime. So there are two regimes of income tax, personal income tax. First is the old one, which we understand and we have been following since ages, that you get various sort of deductions where you make some sort of investments, whether it is life insurance policy, ULIPs, or PPFs or PFs. The second one is the flat scheme, which is simpler to understand, that I have earned this much without any complications. See, the earlier one might have complications with respect to certain deductions or rebates, that how much the rebate is, what is your income for this year. Some are dependent on that also. But this is the simplest mode, which is easier to understand, easier to fill. See what you are earning, and without giving any major deductions, it's taxable. The rates, because they are not giving any deduction, rates are at the lower end. So they were almost 7 slabs there, which has been reduced to 5. So old regime, no impact. It is same as earlier. New regime, 0 to 3 lakh, 0, 3 to 6, 5, 6 to 9, 10, 9 to 12, 15, then 15 to, sorry, 12 to 15, it is 20, and then 30. But if you earn up to rupees 7 lakh in the new regime, you would not be charged to any tax. So if you cross 7 lakh, then you are subjected to these things. Plus, if you are having salaried income and it is beyond 15 lakh, then they have provided a first time they have introduced standard deduction in this way. Now, though, for those who are HNIs, and I feel the owners of startups are now billionaires. They are not from MSMEs, but startups, they are billionaires, so they are HNIs. For them also, the relief has been provided that if you are HNI, the highest rate of surcharge is reduced to 25% from 37%. So this is helping everyone, even for a middle class, a youngster. So now it could be possible that a young person who has recently started a job, so he might go for new regime, and the one who has been making investments from many years for say for he has taken a long-term life insurance policy of 30 years, out of which 10 or 12 years have already gone. So because of his investment, he will continue with payment to that. Else he so plus his age would be a matured one, and he need insurance also. He need all sort of security also. Future his retirement might be in 20 years or 15 years from here. So he would be continuing with those older regime. Now, by default, everyone will be subjected to new regime. What does this mean? This means that if you do not tell your employer that please deduct me in my old scheme, he has to deduct tax as per the new regime. And this would be a challenge for those people who keeps on switching job, or during the year if you have switched your job, and there are multiple switches which we have seen with many profiles, with many returns when we file. Some have almost 3 jobs also during the year. So that could be possible that if they miss it, so maybe that in first job they have got old regime, the second job someone would have deducted in the new regime, then third he would have deducted in, again you have told them they have deducted with the old regime. So now at end of the year when you would be finalizing, there could be a complication where interest liability could be levied on you if tax is payable, Also, people while switching the job, employees do not intimate their old salaries or older incomes from previous employees, though the form is from 12BA. They don't file it and don't submit it. That's why they keep on getting deductions from the threshold limits and all deduction from both of the employers. And at end of the day, when they compile their both forms, they are subjected to tax plus interest, and that is a big challenge because no one has extra cash flows. Whatever comes, we either invest or we make an expenditure. So, so we have to be very careful while choosing the option. And one thing is there. The best thing which I feel, that even if you at the start of the year you have said that I am going to invest and you have opted for a lower tax deduction, at end of the year if you don't invest also, then also you can always switch to new regime, and whatever the difference could be, it could be minimal. So that's my take on personal income tax front.
Fine, Abhishek. But I mean, when I was listening to the budget speech, and when the FM said that it has been so, she said it has been increased from 5 lakhs to 7 lakhs. I was very happy, and everybody was like clapping. And then after 2 or 3 seconds, after taking a pause of 3 seconds, she said it's in the new regime only, and that was kind of something that nobody was expecting. But then this is how it is. So you're saying
But
most of the
she has
people.
not restricted you that you continue in your old regime. This is your choice.
Yes, but the old regime guys didn't get any kind of special deduction, right? We were happy
If
that the
after
we'll.
after 5 to 10 years, old regime will be removed.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. The kind of things that are coming from past 3 4 years, I think old regime would be removed and only one regime would continue, that's the new regime, right? So since we have spoken about personal taxation, would you want to also highlight on the GST aspects and other income tax aspects of MSME? What kind of taxation impact on MSME would be there after this new budget?
The taxation rates have not got any relief per se, but there are two benefits which has been provided to them. First is uh, which was provided in last year also budget, that 1 year time period has been extended for claiming that exemption. So because of Corona COVID, we have almost wasted 3 years. Ideally, in the last year itself, it should have been extended to 2 years. But even in this year, it should have been extended for 2 years. But again, the government has extended for 1 year. And I am pretty sure that next year also they will extend it for 1 year. Second thing, what they have said that you were allowed to claim losses in any 7 years out of 10 years. Now they have said continue with 10 years. These are for both startups. Now for MSME, they have came with a very important amendment in the section, which they are saying that now payments to MSME would be covered in section 43B. This means that if, and the timeline is 45 days, if someone is MSME, either you pay them within 45 days or this expenditure would be disallowed until you make payments.
Okay.
Now, this is a hardship to big corporates. This is a hardship. When a corporate gets into a contract with someone, and in fact in GST also we have a proviso in section 16 subsection 2 that if you don't make payment to MSMEs, or sorry, to anyone within 180 days, then your ITC would be reversed. It would be added into your output tax liability. Now, this year, this has also been amended for saying that you have to make payment of this, make good payment of this uh, by paying along with interest under section 50. So now in GST, the clause was there that you have to make payment in 180 days. Now they have come with 45 days. So when the corporate makes an commercial agreement with them, with the small enterprise. Now let's say that they have made a contract that we will make payment in 120 days. So that's a valid contract. No one can force you. And the person, the supplier also knows because of the contract that this guy is going to make payment to me, or this corporate is going to make payment to me within 120 days. So whatever interest liability is there, they factor it into the billing itself. So back end, so it's not upfront which they are saying, but at back of their mind, they knew that the payment terms is 120 days, so they will factor whatever my CC limit is going on, whatever the interest rate is. Everyone does a factoring for it.
Yeah.
Now the factoring has already been done, and now you are amending it by saying that you have to make payment in 45 days. So the big corporate, if almost on the same rate, someone else is making payment to me, allowing me to pay payment in 120 days. So that is not MSME. So I would prefer working with them. Because see, if they are making payment in 180 days, let's assume they might also be getting payment from further from their own recipient in 120 to 150 days. That's why they are doing a back end working with this. This is not all about interest also. This is also about the managing cash flow also. So if someone doesn't have a money, or he is about to get money in 150 days, that's why he's making an arrangement that I will make payment to you in 120 days. And I think your company helps in these sort of payments also, and you are taking care of taxation payment also. You give bill discounting or something like that. So that you can take care this in later part, or with this in continuation of this answer, that how you and your companies are helping this. But again, this is a big complication, and along with providing benefits, that this could impact uh, a business structure also, or working with MSMEs also, because I had seen many corporates while making agreements with them, they ask the parties to give them in writing that we are not MSMEs, so that they come out of it. And again, we have a corporate liability also, we have disclosures also, we have to upload with ROC also, that whatever delay is there, or whatever payments are there. So again, not happy with this impact, though the intention seems very good of providing relief to MSME, but this could destabilize what is happening in the corporate world. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Abhishek sir, for giving us this a small brief about personal taxation as well as the taxation related to MSME. Now coming to Saurabh. Saurabh, since you're a champion on MSME, so if you can help us understand or kind of highlight what is the current state of MSMEs and how they would benefit from this budget.
Yeah. No, thank you, Manish. Thank you, Abhishek sir, and thank you to the Vayana team for having me on this webinar. Yeah, just to come to MSMEs, I think it's been clear every budget MSME and what changes and reliefs will be given to the sector is one of the key focus areas for every budget. And the reason is clear that the MSME sector is one of the most important growth levers for the country. So the MSME sector contributes to 30% of GDP, 40% of exports, almost 25% of working population actually works in the MSME sector. So the importance of MSMEs to India is definitely very visible to everyone, and that is the reason that the government and the budget every year focuses a lot on this sector. If you see the MSME sector today and where they are actually positioned, they are, I think, positioned. There are a lot of good prospects, and the future looks bright because India has now, like earlier, the MSME sector used to be a more localized play. Today, that has slowly becoming a more pan-India play and slowly to even a more global play. So they are able to take their services and products not to just to a larger population within India but also outside India. And second is obviously, I think, which we will talk about in the webinar as well, that technology is big, I would say, disruptor for the MSME system and actually is solving a lot of their pain points. Now, just coming to what exactly are the pain points, I think largely I would say the MSME pain points can be categorized into 3 or 4 things. One is definitely, again, which we'll talk about, is access to credit. Manish, again, like, Vayana is doing a great job over there, but that continues to be a problem, for the sector. And I think the problem is very large, and that's why there is so much government intervention is also trying to solve for that problem. The second is access to skilled manpower. I think a lot of MSMEs don't get access to skilled manpower, and that becomes the impediment for them to actually deliver their products and services that they want to. And third, I think, is there is a lot of critical working capital gaps that they have. And one is obviously delayed payments, which Abhishek sir, I think he touched upon the relief measure over here. And second, also like things like money stuck in GST refunds, etc. So because MSMEs they don't have that financial wherewithal, any critical working capital money that is stuck in these things is a big pain point for them, right? And then finally, I think just ease of doing business, right, from licenses, permits, policies, GST, income filings, everything, right? I think medium enterprises are still okay, but when it comes to micro and the small ones, I think they still face a lot of challenges on all of these aspects. So I think just touching upon from a budget perspective, I think why the focus and what the relief measures are. One, I think, which is very, very critical is, solving this working capital gap and this money stuck in delayed payments. I think there will be a lot of issues with large corporates, like Abhishek sir mentioned. But one of the things is I think the MSME Act back in 2006 already had that it's actually statutorily required, and it's an obligation on companies to pay MSMEs within 45 days. But the problem was, even in spite of that act being there and it being a regulation, companies are not actually adhering to it and following it. Now the government is trying to, obviously for them it's a balancing act. It will lead to issues like Abhishek sir mentioned at the large corporate side, but they needed a way to actually try and enforce this and see that how do I incentivize companies to actually honor and make that payment in 45 days. So now they have added one more complication for large corporates, is you will not get the deduction, and so on and so forth, right? So, but how this plays out, whether there will be again a lot of challenges at the corporate side, or actually it will benefit the MSME sector, let us see. We are all hopeful, but this has always been the intent of the government. Now it is, they are just trying to add layers to enforce it in different ways, whether practically correct or not. That is something that we will see. Right. Second is, I think this ECLGS, has been a big boon to the MSME sector, especially post pandemic. And given that now that corpus has increased by 9,000 crore, I think MSMEs will get now additional access to credit from formal channels in a bigger way. I think this is very, very critical, because one of the biggest problems that MSMEs have is that obviously because of lack of data information, most of the credit underwriters in the country are not able to take that call. And even schemes like ECLGS, at least if they start participating slowly and steadily, even these MSMEs actually build a credit history which might help them, as they keep growing. Right. So one is obviously getting larger, like access to a larger capital pool, and also helping them in the long run. And third is obviously because of this ECLGS, their cost of borrowing will go down. Again, because of lack of data information, typically they end up borrowing at very high cost. But because of schemes like the ECLGS, this will really help them. I think the other thing is also the presumptive taxation. I think Abhishek sir again will be the expert there. But what I understood is that that limit has gone from up, increase from 2 crore to 3 crore. Again, think that this will especially help more micro and I would say small enterprises, and mainly micro enterprises, which actually need this help. Because I think medium enterprises still have that wherewithal to take care of these things, but especially for the micro enterprises, this is a big boom. So overall, I think obviously there has been a lot of focus of the budget on MSME, and I just if there's anything else Manish would want to add.
Yeah, Saurabh, thank you. So, Saurabh, do you want to kind of add on to what kind of technology and how basically technology is helping MSMEs? I mean, you can talk about your organization. I can talk about what we do at Vayana.
Yes. Yeah. For sure. So I think technology has been a big game changer last I would say last decade. One of the things like for I think one of the big thing is, and fundamentally is, now with businesses trying to move online. There and like now with with government support on things like ONDC, and platforms like these. All actually MSMEs are getting an audience and a level playing field to serve entire of India. So they have not just remained now a localized value added offering or a localized business, but they have turned into I would say global or pan India businesses. I think fundamentally that is very big. Second is obviously technology from a credit perspective, which becomes for Vayana and like Giraffe, where we become relevant. Manish, right? You've seen we rely on a lot of data, and underwriting actually is now based on transactions, on operating history, actually getting into their business operations and data from those businesses, whether it is GST returns, returns of filings, their bank account statement. So rather than actually getting into pure play collateral, balance sheet, financials, which the banks or traditional NBFCs used to do on a template based model, right? So now with access to digital, and most companies now using digital platforms and solutions, that availability of data and track record of data is getting created and built, which actually helps organizations like us to improve our underwriting models, credit models, and give value added offerings, customized and tailor made, I would say credit solutions, rather than what the traditional lenders have been doing historically, right? And third, I think just generally they are able to deliver their business in better way. They are also structured like organization. Today they have access to for example, a CRM tool. They have access to their payables, receivables, their entire I would say their accounts and books can be managed through a digital platform. There are so many startups actually trying to cater to MSMEs, and help them become more organized and formal, right? So the technology sector has come up, I would say, along in a big way, trying to support this ecosystem. Also because they are such a large ecosystem, and everyone sees a lot of potential in this space, right? So and yeah, I think you can add more things, Manish.
In fact, being in this business from past 10, 11 years, Vayana has also kind of seen this entire cycle. We have dealt with MSMEs, we have dealt with large corporates, and we realized that there are four C's that are required to be solved for an MSME. Okay, so the first C that we solve is the compliance. We are India's largest GSP. We provide e-waybill, e-invoice, and GST compliance as a solution. Then the second C that we solve is the commerce aspect. The commerce is basically your ONDC. So we are connected with ONDC, and we are helping MSMEs to kind of come onto our platform and do their entire commerce from their own applications rather than relying on the e-commerce platforms, right? And this is basically kind of democratizing the entire commerce aspect in the country. Third C that we solve is credit, of course. Credit is an important part of the DNA of Vayana. We've been doing it from past 10 years. We've done multiple programs in supply chain financing space. And now we have also started small MSME loans, which basically help those MSMEs to get loans for a period of maybe 30 days, 45 days, also to help them pay their GST as well. We provide loans to them. So these are three C's, and the fourth C is, I think, probably the most important question that a MSME faced, which is their cash management. So as of now, the cash management is a very big issue. We are trying to solve it through accounts receivable and accounts payable automation and the technology that we provide in the backend. So I think with these four C's and the solutions that we provide through technology for solving the problems of these four C's, I think we can basically help each and every MSME in the country to kind of sail through whatever issues that they face on a day-to-day basis and whatever problems they face while doing their business. So yeah, I think now we can kind of move to the next part of this session, which is basically if you can, and I think this question could be to both Abhishek and Saurabh, both you can decide who wants to take this up. I would want to know the kind of allocations that have been done in this budget for different segments of different sectors, right? I think Abhishek, if you can talk about agriculture sector, if you can talk about manufacturing sector, what kind of allocations have been done, and are you happy with those kind of allocations, or something else should have been done? Some additions could have been done, some deletions could have been done. Anyone, Abhishek, if you want to take it.
See, I'm opening my PPT for coming up with the numbers. Till then,
Sure.
because when I'm talking with numbers, then I have to be very careful
Yes.
what I'm saying. So
Yeah, but I'll just add like this again, just context wise, I think, trading, manufacturing, form the largest of the MSME sectors within India. I think in this trading, which is your kirana stores, medical stores, they, almost contribute, I think 37-38%. Manufacturing, a similar number, and then there are, other services. Agriculture obviously is, then again completely allied vertical along with MSME. So there is a, so all of these are large sectors, and yeah, just, let Abhishek sir add on the budget allocations.
yeah, would not be talking about this total numbers. I would be putting some information for some sectors. For example, for agriculture. Now they gave two major benefits. First is PM Pranam scheme, where subsidy would be given on the fertilizer, which will be routed to states. Second is Go Bardhan, where 10,000 crores has been allocated with 500 crore rupees per plant. Then, first time in history of India, amount has been allocated for Eklavya schools, the tribal schools. And as we all know, in past 2.5 years, because of Corona COVID, education has suffered a lot. Because see, when we were students, I don't know, when I was a student, I don't cover you both. See, even when teacher was standing in front of me, I was not serious studying, or sometimes I was taking some relaxation. So in online class, when I have an option to mute
Mute.
and skip my video, then how can I be supposed to learn? So that has impacted a lot. Plus, when you go to school, when you meet your colleagues, fellow students, you learn many things. So that has impacted a lot, and therefore, considering that loss, so they had allocated money for digital libraries and physical libraries, and they would be coming with shorter books with Nation Book Trust and others, and though some would be in the regional language also. India is incredible India because it's not one country. It cannot be defined with one thing. So regional languages also have their own seat. Plus, the shorter books is the uh, book. As I am an author, I understand when we discuss with the publishers also. They say, sir, we don't want book of 1,500 pages, so 2,000 pages. We want a shorter book of 500 pages, 300 pages. People are happy to learn or read the shorter pages. Time span is reduced. Or e-way, not e-way, sorry. The e-books are trend of today. Like say, I'm also get mixed with e-book to e-way. Like Manish called finance manager. So something. Plus, for 50 years again, they have come with loans to states, which was the last year. That was a part um, Amrit Atmanirbhar Bharat project. So that has been continued, and cooperative societies has been reduced. Plus, plus the food free food grains extended for 1 year more. And I feel that this will be extended in 2024 also, because if you have been giving for so many years, then you will not withdraw it for immediately before uh, elections
Elections.
and elections. And we would be having elections in April and May 2024. So that should continue. That would continue. Plus, we have 2,40,000 rupees, the highest railway budget till date. Plus, high allocation has been made to defense budget also. But the details which usually are shared, which are missing this time, that how much is for central portion, how much is for other portion, so that is missing. One sector which they have missed this year is fishery sector, the aqua sector, for which allocations have continued for the last year, plus this minority, the scholarship to minorities has reduced to a great extent in past 7 8 years, and it was not given any hike this year. So this is the overall budget where youth have also got a good thing that they will be providing free trainings for Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Yojana, and they are having a target of training 40 lakh people or 48 lakh people in next 3 years. So that's a huge amount. Plus, this year, so sorry, 2022, we had seen a start of new scheme, Agniveer scheme. Now, whatever the style was that Agniveer would be investing some money to government, so, but there was no section for providing them directly to the state. So the fund, the trust has been notified, and their investment and the corpus which they will get, that will also be exempt from taxes. So this is overall which they have tried to allocate something to everyone. They have targeted all of the sectors, not as populistic budget as election budget could be, but because of Corona COVID, even if they would have tried, because 2 years have wasted or 2.5 years have been wasted, they couldn't have done better than this, which they have done.
Fine. Thank you, Abhishek. So, Saurabh, we all know, right? Kind of credit plays a very important role in making MSMEs future ready, right? So, what are
Yeah.
the changes that have come from a credit angle, and what kind of things that have come from a financial sector point of view that you want to
Hmm.
highlight?
Yeah.
And
So
specifically,
Mani, I think.
talk about the National Financial Information Registry. I would want to understand more about that.
No, so I think one of the things has been in with the MSMEs. If you see over the last few years, definitely credit growth has been there, right? So there is additional credit being deployed in the MSME sector. But one of the key things has been that this increase in credit growth or the credit growth itself has come because of penetration and not because financial institutions are taking different risks or underwriting very differently, or innovating there. So it's mostly come because of digital technology, etc. People are able to give access to credit to tier 3, tier 4, city-based MSMEs as well. So that is one thing. But I think, like we already spoke about, right, technology has a big role to play in disrupting the, I would say, MSME ecosystem, and access to credit through technology is, one of the key things. As you already mentioned, Vayana is doing, so much through technology, for the MSME sector. Here, I largely feel that there are 3 or 4 very large opportunities for credit providers using technology to give access to MSMEs. And I'll just highlight these 3 or 4 things. One of the things, for example, is now there are these POS and payment gateway transaction history and records that you have. So everyone, and there has been like a POS based or payment gateway based, I would say, credit lines to these MSMEs. Second can be, obviously your digital lenders and, are relying more on embedded finance, which is, artificial intelligence, machine learning, to actually come up with credit models that can then serve, the MSMEs, try and also create customized and tailor-made solutions for them. So I think, these are 2 big, I would say, ways in which people can, actually leverage technology. Even neobanks today, for example, they are giving a very seamless, I would say, banking service to these MSMEs, and they also give value-added services like digital cards, debit cards, credit cards, along with that, right, which adds like a working capital solution. Lastly, I would say again, like Vayana and I would say Jira, where we try and do is anchor-based and relationship-based supply chain finance, right? A lot of this, what we try to do is, there are these large actors, let's say a Parle-G, let's say HUL, they actually cater to a very big MSME ecosystem down the line. But again, the challenge has been that only the tier one or their direct vendors have access to formal credit. What about vendors at the tier two, tier three level of this supply chain or logistic chain? That is where again, through access to data, through leveraging relationships with these large companies, you can actually solve for a lot of problems, for MSMEs, which are not maybe direct service providers or to these large corporates, but are actually service providers much down the line in the ecosystem or the value chain. And that is where again, I think players like us have a big role to play, where companies which did not have access to formal credit is getting it in a manner where actually credit comfort or underwriting is coming from some other large group or relationship, because that becomes very critical. We understand that micro and small enterprises will always have very tough challenges in providing data, clear data, very clean audited financials. There, those challenges continue to exist. The question is how can we work along with those challenges and provide this credit line that is required. So that is, I think these are like very big opportunities. All players who use technology, all traditional lenders can actually now leverage technology to provide these kind of value adds and actually make it meaningful. I think that's the key thing.
Right, right, sir. I think apart from this, there is a national financial information registry that has also been set up this budget, which will basically act as a central repository of any kind of financial or any kind of ancillary information, which will basically help in facilitation of efficient flow of credit, which we have been trying from a very long time. I think this NFI would be a game changer. Yeah, Saurabh.
Yeah, so I was just saying this along with the Open Credit Enablement Network, right? The OCN, I would say network as well. Government has also now, in addition to this, already there was a account aggregator, system and model that the government has implemented. So with the National Information for Registry, the OCN network plus the account aggregator model actually is going to give a lot of access to open data, which will actually solve a lot of problems for MSMEs to access credit over the long run. So it's I think the main thing is that it removes a lot of red tape. It removes a lot of I would say hard work at the MSMEs to always keep providing same financial data to 10 people, and creating such open access to data really helps MSMEs get access to easy credit. Also, it also gives confidence to lenders that if this MSME can get credit from a particular lender, then they are actually credit worthy. So maybe even I can take confidence and a decision based on that, which earlier, because of opaqueness, lack of transparency, was not there. So I think these are very key fundamental changes. And sorry, I missed on that point, and which actually will help MSMEs get access to credit in the long run.
Right. So Saurabh, do you want to speak something on the GIFT IFSC, the changes that have been brought on the GIFT IFSC side?
So with this budget, I'll actually have to look this up. I don't know the changes in the GIFT City. So
no, I think in the GIFT City, few changes have been done. Earlier, the powers were different. Now it has been brought under the SEZ Act, so that there is no dual regulation. Dual regulation earlier. So now there won't be any dual regulation. And also, kind of offshore derivative instruments have been recognized as valid contracts. Earlier, they were not. So this it will basically make ease of doing business in the GIFT City itself. So these are a few changes that have come in the GIFT IFSC space. I think we've covered credit, we've covered technology, we've covered taxation. One thing that I think I would want to ask Abhishek ji. Abhishek, you want to add on something, or should I?
I was trying to add that for MSME, the earlier amount of 2 lakh crore rupees budget allocation was there. Now in this budget, 9,000 crore rupees have been enhanced. They have again also been provided for the collateral free loan. So MSMEs can take benefit of this also, the scheme which was introduced in 2020.
Understand. So it's kind of a 4.5% increase from the last year's budget.
Yes.
So I think we've talked about taxation, we have talked about credit, we have talked about technology. Uh, Abhishek, I want to understand from you how CAs can help in implementing all these changes. Specifically, if we talk about MSME, because CAs are kind of have been working very closely with MSME sector. So how do you think CAs can basically help in implementing all these changes, and if CAs can do it, how they can do it?
When I have worked in my personal experience, working with MSMEs and working with startups are two different ballgames. MSMEs are more focused on say that we are having this many resources. We have to earn. We are happy for doing compliances. Uh, ensure that our compliances are done on time. With these startups, they are passionate people and they consider anything other than their core field as a burden to them. They don't want to maintain books or in a haphazard manner. They don't understand the business. They understand their product. They don't understand nitty-gritties of the compliance. For them, their credit cards, their personal bank accounts, and the startup bank account, they don't differentiate between those also. They are mostly and especially when these startups are run by first time businessmen and they are recently pass out guys and so working with them explaining them the concept of statutory compliances is really difficult because they have come from their college and directly they are coming with especially with the IT guys they are creating something they are creating an app and they don't understand taxation also. So our role becomes here most important because in many cases we are supposed to draft uh, the compliance and the way things have to be done as various SOPs from scratch. And vis-a-vis with MSMEs, it is different. They have some structure, they have some pillar, they have the people who understand the concept of business. See, in many of the startup, I don't understand. They don't differentiate between HR and the admin also. They say that both are same, and he will also handle our account. So all three things are with the same person. So explaining them is really difficult. Plus, MSMEs are more complex to understand. Startups are more passionate people where you have to teach them basic necessity, what is required, but both are happy with funding. Both are happy when they get money into their bank accounts. Uh, so, but the focus of MSMEs are that I have to make this expenditure. Vis-a-vis this startup guys, they think that okay, this money has come. Let us use this to reach to a new level. Let's burn all this cash, and then I will get a new funding at a new level. And then the rate would be high. And after 1 year, 1.5 year, I would be having a new funding. Then post 1 year, I would be having new funding, and this will be my valuation. The MSME, sorry, the startup guys don't consider that they are going to get loan from banks. They feel that on getting fundings is easier than approaching a bank because bank usually ask them the questions which they are not comfortable. Because they are more comfortable with dealing with venture capitalists or something like that. So this is what my experience of say 10.5 years with my experience with dealing with these guys and different. Plus their valuation also jumps with earlier uh, early 2000 the valuation used to jump with clicks on website. Now it is how many number of apps you have downloaded or what is the rating is on there. And I also need time to understand that the way. They are telling me, they are explaining me. So we are also on the learning phase. They are also on the learning phase. But as we have to learn many things from them and we have to
It is
explain many
sir,
things
it
to
is
them.
so you're basically saying every startup has to hire a CA so that they can understand the nitty-gritties, compliances, and
I'm
then
not
do the business accordingly.
marketing my profession. I'm saying that they are two different people. So people used to call MSME in a startup in same line. But when you go inside them, when you understand the working of them, they are two different worlds. They are two different worlds. And both have their own merits, both have their own demerits. MSME might not accept a risky proposition, might not come with a risky product, or and because the product is risky, many people don't understand. A startup might never say no to that product. They might become more passionate hearing the word that no one has ever tried this. They might say, if no one has tried it, then I have an open market for Pan India or Pan Global. So these are what I have understood. And see, you two people might be dealing with more startups and MSMEs than me. You might be talking with more. I don't know whether you agree or disagree with my words, but my experience is like this only.
Agreed, Abhishek.
No, absolutely.
Uh,
Completely agree.
we completely
I
agree
had a
with you,
point
sir.
here, Manish, that I think in general, like, seeing a lot of MSMEs and startups as well, I think they need definitely a lot of hand holding, from very, I would say, credible CAs like, Abhishek sir and a lot of other firms. But, because like you said, there's a need for them to understand compliance. They need to first understand the importance of compliance and then understand compliance, right? So, and there is a lot of, I would say, hand holding that is required. So if there can be a more seamless manner, like today everything is as a service, right? So I can say CA as a service, through again digitally, helping them, handholding them, and getting them up to speed what is actually required to run an organization. I think it will help everyone. So I think there's definitely a big role for the CA community to play. Yeah.
Saurabhji, when DD happens, now all pressure
Uh,
comes on.
no, we understand. Yeah.
So I think we at Vayana are also trying to kind of take help from not really helping CS, but I think we are trying to take help from CS to reach out to the MSME. We have an application called HyloBiz. They can just log on to hylo.biz, HyloBiz, and all the CAs can basically help their MSMEs to come on board onto this neobank platform for their any kind of, as I said, 4C issues that can be solved. Either it's cash management, it's credit, compliance, or commerce. So yeah, I think this is a kind of an overview of the budget 23. Akshay, do you have any questions from the audience so that we can ask these questions from our panelists?
No, Manish, we don't have it yet, but I'm happy to open up the floor for questions. You can just put it on the chat box or you can unmute and speak. And then we'll take it up. So you can type in your question. We'll just wait for a little bit, maybe.
We'll wait for a minute or so for these questions to come in.
I don't have any questions yet.
In that case, I have a question that I would want to ask Abhishek ji. So we've talked about youth, we have talked about CAs, technology. थोड़ा senior citizens के बारे में बात हुई नहीं. I would want to then kind of give some gyan to my mother that there's something that has been for you as well. So if you can give a small brief of what changes have been brought in for senior citizens.
Senior citizens, their investment limit has been enhanced, the free one, from 15 lakh to 30 lakh. One. Second, they have got, so others have got maximum limit 7 lakh, they have got 9 lakh. Third, for the EPF, when there was no PAN card, so the TDS rate was 30%. Now it has reduced to 20%. This is now at par with the other one. So 30% was deducted on the presumption that these are highest taxpayer. Vis-a-vis when you don't have PAN, you are usually taxed at higher tax rate of 20%. So usual tax rate are 10%. Then they say that because you are not having PAN, we will tax you at 20%. TDS would be deducted. But in
But
EPF,
doesn't EPF comes under EEE category?
no, it is EET.
Okay.
And
Taxation at the time
and
of.
even if it is EE, nobody is going to stop you from deducting TDS.
Hmm.
TDS is different than taxation part.
Right.
So anyways, they would be getting refunds, but the TDS rate has been reduced. So for senior citizen, these three, and for ladies, one more investment option for Mahila Sashakti through which they can make an investment and they can get a interest rate of 7.5%, and this could be withdrawn anytime. Now, whether the interest is free from tax or not, I will not be able to comment on it right now because I'm still reading the finer prints of the budget. So if it is free, 7.5 is good. If it is not free, then uh, 8.5 could be the normal FD rate. So this could be difference. And last year, finance minister has introduced Nari Tuhi Narayani scheme, which uh, uh, which gave special loans to women entrepreneurs. Surprisingly, there was no mention of this in this budget. So I'm still figuring out whether the amount invested to this scheme is enhanced or not. On
Okay.
this, I will not be able to comment here.
Sure. Saurabh, I have another question for you. I heard in the budget speech that somewhere around 1% of the total credit cost would be reduced.
Yeah.
So, do you have any idea what kind of thought process was there?
Yeah, so I think overall, because of like Abhishek sir mentioned, right, this 9,000 crore of additional allocation to this corpus where loans can be disbursed under this ECLGS scheme, which is collateral-free loans, but also guarantee from the government. Under this scheme, obviously, because these are government guaranteed loans, so when a financial institution, a bank, or a NBFC is lending under this ECLGS scheme, they can actually pass on that lower cost to the MSME sector because of this being under and from this corpus. So overall, it's finally risk and reward. So because these institutions are getting government guaranteed loans, they're able to pass that pricing benefit or cost benefit to the MSMEs. So on average, the estimation is that at least 1% of their cost of capital will get reduced or saved, because of this corpus being available to them.
Understand. Understand. Fine. Akshay, we have any questions?
No, we don't have any questions. So I think this brings us to the end of the webinar. Thank you so much to all the panelists for agreeing to be a part of our session and for it making it such an informative session. So thank you so much to all the three of you. And that's about it. Thank you to the audience also for attending, and have a
Thank you.
good day.